Hello, hello. Have I got a surprise for you today? It's Tammy Cabell here again, founder of Career Resume Consulting and creator of the Six Figure Pro online coaching program, which now you know about. I wanted to give you a bonus video. This is something that I didn't advertise. It's good information because I've decided to put together the answers to the most frequently asked questions by people in my speaking engagements and people that I talk to one-on-one. These are questions that people have about everything having to do with job search. So I really would like to show you the answers to those. These are answers that are relevant to the job market as it is today, and because I just shot the video, and I want to share that with you and hope that you get some value out of it. So without further ado, let's go into story time with Tammy. And I'm going to sit down, I'm going to go through the most frequently asked questions and answer those pretty thoroughly for you. Thanks.
All right, here we are with Story Time with Tammy, and thanks for joining me. What I'd like to go over today is some of the frequently asked questions that I get and the answers that I have to those questions. Top 10, right? So hopefully this won't take incredibly long and you don't have to stay here for 50 minutes, but we'll see. I'm a talker. So let's dive into the very first one. The first question that I get pretty frequently is, do I really need a great LinkedIn profile? Because there are some industries like manufacturing, construction, that most people are not on LinkedIn. But I can tell you that this is getting to be more and more important. And like I said before, over 20% of employers and recruiters now use LinkedIn as their main form of looking for people, exclusive form of looking for people. So LinkedIn is very key. Also, you have to think about the fact that LinkedIn is really what we call pull marketing instead of push marketing. So push marketing is sending your resume out hard copy to the companies that would meet your search criteria, or sending a hard copy resume out to companies that are doing well and are growing, and not just not creating jobs just because of attrition or people leaving, but actually creating new jobs. But LinkedIn is becoming more and more a necessity, and I talked about earlier of what you can do in order to get a great LinkedIn profile. You can also contact me and I can give you examples of some of my clients. I'd be very happy to do that because they have great LinkedIn profiles as well. All right, so here's another one. The next one, what do employers want to know in an interview? I get this a lot, and most people, when they're interviewing, try to guess what an employer is wanting to hear, and that is the exact opposite of what you need to be doing. Number one, you can't memorize the top 206 questions and what the answers should be to those questions, and you really can't second guess what they want to hear. And if you do and try to give them the answer that you think they want to hear, what you're going to end up with is your square peg into their round hole, and you're going to get a job that is not a good fit for you. So don't tell them what you think they want to hear. Tell them the truth, even when it comes to your weaknesses. You have to be transparent with everything. What I've done is really distilled down what an employer wants to know to 5 questions. So I want to share those 5 questions with you. The first thing they want to know is, why are you here? In other words, why are you sitting in front of me? Why did you send me your resume? Why did you apply for this job? What makes you interested in this position? What makes you interested in our company? And what makes you excited about the industry? And you really have to be able to answer those very specifically, and you do that by researching the companies. Secondly, what can you do for us? And that's based upon what you've done in the past for your other employers. And so you want to be able to tell specific, compelling stories about what you've done and how you've affected the bottom line of the companies that you've worked for. Thirdly, are you going to fit in here? And usually that is the face-to-face interview. They want to see you face-to-face. They want to know if you're going to fit in with their values and their culture. And it's okay to explain and articulate your values and what you believe to be important, what your guiding principles are. So, will you fit in is the third question. The fourth question is, how are you different from everybody else that we may have talked with? And that really gets down to your brand. If you'll remember in the first video that I sent you, your brand is the 3 bullet points on your resume. And that really comes down to how you're different than everybody else and what makes you uniquely qualified for the position that you're applying for. You really want to create distinction between you and other people. And it all comes down to a very simple marketing message of the 3 bullet points on your resume. Think of those as talking points if you're in a political campaign. And then finally, the 5th question is, how much will you cost us? That's something that's on in every employer's mind, even in the beginning. And oftentimes you'll get that question, so how much are you going to cost us? You get that question on the phone, even before they bring you into a face-to-face. All right? And we'll talk about that next. So let's go into the next question, which is, how do I handle the salary questions? How much are you going to cost us? So probably the biggest tip that I can give you here is to avoid premature compensation discussions. In other words, don't talk money until they've offered you the position. All right? And let me give you some examples of what you can say if they say, so how much are you going to cost us? What are your salary expectations? Well, really, fit is the most important thing to me, but I'd prefer to talk money if once I know more about the position. And I really can't talk about compensation until I know all the job responsibilities of the position. So does this position have direct reports? Does this position have budget authority? What are your expectations for the position? So really bring it back to them to answer the questions on that. And so you can deflect it by asking that question. You can also say that I'm sure that, or maybe you could phrase it as, I wouldn't be sitting here if I didn't have some idea of what you could pay. Maybe if you and I both feel that I'm right for the position, then we can talk money. I feel more comfortable talking about compensation after you and I are both in agreement that I'm the right person for this position. I'm sure we won't have a problem when it comes to compensation. So those are a couple of ways that you can deflect it. If they ask you, what are you making? You can always use the apples to oranges comparison. So basically you say, well, what I'm making right now is probably an apples to oranges comparison between what I would expect to make in the position that you have, because it's different job responsibilities. And so you can say it that way. And then if they push you, you can always ask them to give a range. Well, do you have a range of what you'd like to pay for this position? And then whatever they say, you can go ahead and say, I'm sure we won't have a problem when it comes to compensation. So I've seen that range that they give absolutely blown apart once they've determined that you're the person that they want to have in the position. Once they've determined that and they've offered you the job, man, you've got so much more leverage than you have at the beginning of the conversation. So avoid the premature money talks and really handle that salary question after they've offered you the job. You've got a lot more leverage that way. All right. So here's one that I get pretty frequently. What is the hidden job market? Exactly what I've heard of this hidden job market, but exactly what is that? It's really not any big secret, although getting to it can be kind of a big secret. The hidden job market is really usually small to mid-sized companies who don't have a large HR staff and therefore really can't afford the time that it takes to post something publicly and go through hundreds, if not over 1,000 resumes in order to get to the right candidates. And so instead, what they do is much more effective and informal, What they do is simply ask their friends, their family, colleagues in the industry, people that they work with, hey, I need an accounting manager. Do you happen to know somebody who's looking for an accounting manager position that I could bring in and talk to? And that's really what the hidden job market is, are word of mouth positions. And honestly, these days, 75 to 85% of six-figure positions are in this hidden job market where it's not publicly posted, it's not on their website, it's not on Career Builder or even the ladders, it's just word of mouth. So the way to tap that hidden job market is to proactively send your resume to the companies that you would want to work for. Believe it or not, you get a better response rate when you proactively send your resume to companies that you would want to work for versus applying for posted positions online, especially when you're talking about a six-figure position. It's just much more effective to send your resume out proactively. Hard copy, that's important, hard copy, not email. It will sit on somebody's desk for a long time. I have seen it over and over and over again, where people get calls 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks later after they've sent a resume because it stayed on somebody's desk for 5 weeks, versus going in an inbox and getting deleted or not even looked at and never getting responded to. So always send it hard copy. All right, next one. How do I find the right people to send my resume to? We covered that a little bit before. And I really suggest looking online at online databases. There are a lot of free online databases that are out there. Most of them get their information from Dun & Bradstreet. Dun & Bradstreet is a New York firm that is really the clearinghouse for all business data out there. And you can access the Dun & Bradstreet $1 Million Database usually from your library website. And so get a library card, hunt down your library card, use the library card number to access that from home, and you can get lists of companies that would meet your search criteria. Right now, what I've found is that the companies that are hiring most often are anywhere from 10 to 50 million in annual revenue, which is very small. And even in the Kansas City area, did you know that there are over 70,000 companies, 70,000 companies in the Kansas City area. Now, most of those are very small, and but there are thousands of companies in that 10 to $50 million range that are doing quite well in this economy and are growing. And those are the companies that are doing most of the hiring, I've found. All right. How do I network if I don't know anyone? So let's talk a little bit. I promised you that we would talk about this a little bit as far as informational interviewing. And I have a document on my website, careerresumeconsulting.com, that you can download. It's a PDF, and it's an informational interviewing PDF. And it gives you a step-by-step process of how to conduct an informational interview. But basically, what you want to do is find someone within a target company that you want to reach, and what I recommend is reaching out to the sales force, believe it or not. The individual contributing salespeople in that company usually will talk your ear off, and if you just give them a call and say, you know, I was researching your company and I realized that if I'm going to find out about more about your company and more about your industry, that you're the person I need to talk to. Do you have about 10 minutes that I can ask some questions, maybe 3 or 4 questions, and then just find out more about their industry, find out more about their company, ask some very general questions. And in that PDF that I've got on my website, there are general questions that you can ask. But the last question is most important, and that is, who do you know that I should be talking with? That's your most important question, because once you explain who you are, what you're looking for, what your expertise is, how to articulate that, then if you know the the magical question of who do you know that I should be talking to, you're golden, because you can take that information, and sometimes it's not even somebody within that company. Sometimes it's a competitor that's growing, and they'll say, well, we're not hiring, but I do know that there's another company across the street that is. So go to my website, careerresumeconsulting.com, and get that PDF. All right, we are flying through these, aren't we? Okay. How do I find a job that pays me what I'm worth? That's the key question, isn't it? What I have found is that you can oftentimes get a position that pays you what you're worth easier than you can get a position that you're overqualified for. That's one of the biggest mistakes that I see job seekers make, especially at a higher level or a senior level. They feel like they have to dumb down their resume, dumb down their experience, and take something that's beneath them, where it's actually pretty hard to get a position that you're overqualified for, because there are legitimate reasons why an employer doesn't want to hire somebody who's overqualified, because in 6 months you're going to be bored out of your skull and you're going to look for another position, and it's not paying you what you're worth, and they know it, and they don't want to hire anybody that's overqualified. So what I've found is, if you can articulate your expertise, if you can articulate what it is that you do better than anybody else, and you're in front of a company, you're in front of a hiring manager that wants what you have to offer, then it's going to be a good fit. They'll pay you what you're worth because you're an expert, and you're going to be satisfied in your job, and you're going to be excited about getting up in the morning and going to work. So become an expert. That's my advice for being paid what you're worth. Next, how do I overcome my liabilities, like long-term unemployment, age, whether you be possibly too old or too young, or maybe a short tenure in a lot of different jobs, what may be construed as job hopping, even though most of the time it's not your fault at all. Here's what I recommend on those. The first thing you got to do is get yourself a skills-based or functional resume, because a functional resume is going to minimize those liabilities, and especially just showing the last 10 or 15 years, it's going to minimize the age liability, because they're not going to know how old you are. You definitely do not want to put everything that you've done and everywhere that you've been all the way back to the 70s or the 80s, and I see that quite frequently. I really wouldn't detail back anything before probably 1998 or maybe 1995. So the second thing that you can do is something that I've mentioned before and detailed out before, called the ARTS method of overcoming objections, and that was in a prior video. Go ahead and look at the prior video for the ARTS method of overcoming objections. You can use that ARTS method to handle anything, any objection that they might have, such as long-term unemployment, or no industry experience, or job hopping. Something else too that sometimes you just have to do when you have a lot of liabilities, and honestly, once you get to age 50, and I'm not saying that age 50 is a liability, but once you get to age 50, there are very few people out there that don't have some kind of liability out there. And so there's always something that you have to overcome. Everybody has their own liabilities. But what you have to do is just a more aggressive search. And so if you have a large number of liabilities, you just have to be more aggressive in your search. And what that means is that if you're unemployed, instead of sending out 50 resumes, I might ask you to send out 60 or 65 resumes a week. And I know that's kind of hard to wrap your head around, but you can get that number out. It just means you have to put more hours into it. Okay, so a more aggressive search usually overcomes just about any liability that you have. All right, next to last. So how do I find a job fast if I'm working full-time and I don't have a lot of time to conduct a search? Let me share with you a productivity tool that I like to call Power Hour. I didn't actually make this up. Power Hours have been around for quite a while, but they're very effective in being highly productive. If you don't have many hours to spend searching, what you can do is squeeze the most productivity out of the hours that you do have searching. A Power Hour means that you set up your environment so that you're not distracted at all. Let's say, for instance, you have a goal of getting out 12 resumes for an hour. You set a timer for 50 minutes. You take a 10-minute break at the end of that 50 minutes, but you set a timer for 50 minutes and you turn off your cell phone. You let your loved ones know that you're not going to be available for the next hour, and you stay away from email. Close down your email, turn off your cell phone, and you are sitting at a table with no distractions. You've got yourself something to drink, and you're sitting there for an hour until you get it done. And if you do that for 1 hour a day, you will get a tremendous amount of productivity. I know people that work 60 hours a week that once they start instilling power hours, and they do 5 to 8 power hours a week, and that includes maybe 2 or 3 of them each weekend day, you can get, I've seen 40, 50 resumes out a week for somebody who works 50, 60 hours a week. So you can really be highly productive with power hours. But do set that timer, that's really important, and give yourself a 10-minute break. What I would recommend is, if it's not too hot or not too cold outside, go outside and enjoy some fresh air for a little bit, and then come back in. Change your environment up a little bit, and then come back in for another power hour. It's amazing what you can get done with power hours. And finally, I do get this quite a bit, so I just want to tell you about it. How does Career Resume Consulting help? So what do we do? Until now, I've worked individually with people, and I still do work individually with people. I work as a career strategist, a job search coach, a resume writer, an all-around expert, and so I do have a program that has 5 modules with it over the course of 10 weeks, and I work very closely one-on-one, write a resume, and go through a full search with people, or I just write resumes for people who just need resumes. But I now have, and I'm introducing it now, a Six-Figure Pro online coaching program that's going to allow me to serve so many more people and allow me to get the word out to a lot more people at a lower price point than what I've been able to do before. And it covers all 5 modules, everything that I give my one-on-one coaching clients that pay thousands of dollars. And this is going to be just a fraction of that price. And it covers all 5 modules that I cover in my one-on-one, but also an additional module on how to build your own resume. So it covers how to build a rock star resume step by step. It covers how to put together a robust LinkedIn profile, how to find the right people within the right companies to send your resume to, how to network to expand your reach, and how to network effectively for a 6-figure position or really any professional position, how to interview like an expert and really become the prize in the room, and then how to negotiate a package that's right for you. And most of my negotiation techniques allow for anywhere from 15 to 25% increase from what they originally offer you. I can't guarantee that that's going to be what you get, but because everybody has a different situation and different companies are different. But that's been the average for my clients, is 15 to 25%. But I've been able to get some people 50 to 100% more than what they were originally offered. And so I want to introduce this to you in the next few days, and I'll be sending an email out to you and give you access to some more information. And that really concludes the presentation and the training, and I really hope this has helped you out today. And this is the end of the 3rd video.
So, how do you feel about those answers? I can tell you that if you ask 8 different career professionals a question, you're actually probably going to get 9 or 10 different answers. So I always say, if you go fishing with me, you don't have to use all of my worms. Take what I've said, and when it makes sense to you, go ahead and utilize it. If it doesn't make sense for your situation, then it doesn't make sense, and you don't have to take my advice. But the advice that I just gave you is based on the success of my clients, and my clients do have very, very good success rates. Mostly under 10 weeks when they're looking for 6-figure jobs. If it's less than 6 figures, a lot of times it's just 4 to 6 weeks. And like I said before, the first person to order the online package got a job and was hired within 2 weeks and started that next Monday. It was a whirlwind, and she was just so happy. This is my bonus video to you. I hope you enjoy this gift, and I hope that it has helped you in some way and maybe opened your eyes a little bit as to what the job market is really like now. And if you have any questions, go ahead and give me a call. I would love to engage with you in the conversation about any of these questions. You can call 816-600-2478, or you can log on to careerresumeconsulting.com. Lots of free resources there, as I've said before. And you can also email me at Tammy, Tammy, at beyondjobsearching.com. And I would love to hear from you. Even if you just want to comment on these videos and the video series and how it's helped you, I would love to hear from you. So please reach out to me if you can. And if you'd like to have a conversation about any of our services, please feel free to, at the bottom of the email that this video came with, you'll see a link to a survey. And if you do that survey, you can talk to somebody almost immediately. Someone will give you a call back. The survey people are very important to us. So if you want to talk to us, fill out the survey. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. I hope this information has helped you, and I look forward to talking with you soon in my video blogs. Take a look at those. I'm going to be sending those out on a weekly basis, and that will give you good information. I do a job market minute, which means I give you as much information as I can within a minute's time frame, of course. And you're going to hear a lot from me in the future, maybe not on a daily basis. You're probably sick of seeing my face by now, but I will send you on a weekly basis my job market minute, and I call it the job market minute on Mondays because it usually takes less than a minute to read, but it's a strategy point or a quick tip that can really change up your search. And I've gotten some great feedback from my Monday morning job market minutes. Everybody loves them. So look out for those on Mondays, and if you need immediate assistance, if you want some help in your job search, reach out to me, Tammy at beyondjobsearching.com or 816-600-2478. And of course, you're welcome to look at the website, careerresumeconsulting.com, and see everything that there is to see there. Lots and lots of, there's like 20 hours of audio instruction that you can listen to. You can download the MP3s and listen to them in your car. Lots of stuff there. If you need anything, please let me know, and I'm really happy to send this to you, and I'm really glad that you took the time to watch all of those videos, and I hope you learned something from them. If anything, I hope that it has opened your eyes as to what the job market is like now and how to use the job market effectively, how to brand yourself, and how to set yourself apart from the other competition that you have. All right? Talk to you soon. You'll see me on video blog soon. Until then, have a great rest of your week. Bye now.